Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. I'm here at the legendary Sardi's. I'm sitting with Will Brill, one of my favorite actors of all time. He's brilliant in everything he does, and he is back this season with a Tony nomination for his brilliant performance as Reg in David Adjemi's Stereophonic. How are you, my friend?
I'm so well. I'm very thrilled. I'm very tired, and I'm very happy.
That's a great way to be. Three great things to be.
Yeah, it is really, I got really good advice from Beth Marvel. I was asking her about award season, and she was like, take it easy, but take it.
Yeah.
And I was like, great, this is great advice.
No, but this must be a wild time for you because your show is a little over 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you have to do award season and everything else. And
all these parties and all of these
sleep.
luncheons and have to sleep somewhere along the way, just catching it as I can. It's really exhausting, but also so fun. It's such a weird liminal space to be in.
What does this Tony nomination mean to you?
Oh gosh, it's really trippy. I mean, you spend your whole life in the business sort of like telling yourself that it's about the work and it's about the art and like, I don't need awards. What even does that mean? And then all of a sudden you get nominated for one and the 7-year-old in you is like, oh my God. It's really, it's a wrestle. It's a crazy experience. It's so exciting. And to do it with this play is such a dream. It's a play that I've been hanging around for 8 years. So yeah, it's really cool.
I mean, what a journey you've been on with this, because you were in the room with Davey when he wrote like the first few pages of this. Where were you guys?
So before I ever even met David Adjemi, I saw him talking about his process of the last several days. It was at New Dramatists, which is an organization that I adore, and they do so much for young playwrights. He wrote like 7 pages of this play, and he was like, I'm not going to share it with you guys because there's nothing here, basically. And Gail Rankin was in that workshop, so I followed them to a nearby cafe because I was like, these are the cool kids of theater. And I introduced myself to David, and we got to talking, and in the middle of a conversation, he sort of spaced out and he said, I think you're going to be in this play someday. And then he came back and kept talking to me. It was so wild. And now, that was in 2015.
Yeah.
So now here we are, which is, he texted me the other day and he said, can you believe that we were at that cafe and now you're nominated for a Tony? It's bizarre.
This play has this incredible mind of its own, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the play sort of decides what it wants. He wanted to write an 1.5 hour long play as an experiment that would maybe never go anywhere. And now it's a 3 hour, 15-minute play that wanted to be on Broadway and chose all of the actors who it wanted to have in it. It's such a profoundly weird experience, but so cool.
What's it like living in this world that he's created of Stereophonic?
It's such a comfortable room to be in, but it is, Reg is a really difficult person to be. He lives at the absolute extremities of human experience and abuses himself all along the spectrum. So it is not an easy play to do, but there is a lot of joy and a lot of learning that comes with it. So I feel very lucky to be doing it.
He's such a complex man.
Yeah, I mean, as we all are, I feel like, we've all been in a lot of the positions that he's in of, making really bad choices and hurting somebody you love and, abusing a substance because you're trying to run away from something and run towards something else. And David has somehow given all of these moments to Reg in this very impactful way. Reg has the least amount of stage time of anyone in the show, but you kind of never know it because he is such high impact whenever he's on stage, which is a thrill and exhausting.
With all the demons he goes through, was he hard to find for you to do this 8 times a week or to discover him?
No, I weirdly, the first time I did a reading of this play, his voice sounded exactly like it sounds now. I never had to go looking for it. He was just already there in my head. And what's weird is when we did the first workshop of it in 2016, I was engaged to be married, and I was also drinking very heavily. And I am now sober and divorced in the same way that spoiler alert, Reg is at the end of the show. And so I've done that whole journey. And so to live it out on stage was really painful in rehearsals and is actually really beautiful now. It's really a fun thing to do.
Like cathartic.
Very cathartic, yeah. And gives such great fodder for me to talk with my therapist about.
No, but isn't it great though with creative work that you get to do? You actually could put real feelings like, oh my God, I had a lot of Reg-isms in me already.
Yeah, I think it's a common thing that actors feel like they don't get to choose roles, the role chooses them. And I really feel that way with Reg.
Working with this cast. Because you all sing and play instruments. You never played the bass before, did you?
No, not at all.
Wait.
I sort of had to fib and say that I knew more of the bass than I did in order to get into the room.
Did you really?
Yeah, no. Daniel Auken, so I left the process for years, and then when they brought me back to do another reading, Daniel said, well, have you been learning the bass in the intervening years? And I said, yes, of course, and I hadn't at all. And so I went out and I really drilled it, and God bless Justin Craig and Will Butler. They believed in me and they had faith in me and they let me come into the project. And just gotta say, there's this amazing thing that Justin Craig has done. He took a group of actors with very disparate musical abilities, and then took these rock songs and he arranged the rock songs in such a way that this group of actors can perform it beautifully and believably, but also according to our abilities. It's such a feat.
Interesting.
And I think it's something really, it makes me so thrilled that he's nominated for Best Orchestrations because I think it's a really unique kind of orchestrating that most people don't do.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But also, who would have thunk that, those three singers blend as beautifully as they do? I mean, we didn't have chemistry tests or anything. It's mind-blowing how well this group of people came together.
So when you all finally got together, you're like, oh, now we have to do one of the songs. Mm-hmm. What was that first thing? You're playing the bass that you were supposed to have learned years ago.
I was so bad at it. And I thought that everybody else was going to be bad too. Juliana and I had been DMing on Instagram and she was like, oh, it's really rough. My piano's so rough. And I got there and she was like, no problem, banging out on the keys. And Tom was really working hard and looking at the thing, but Sarah already had the voice. I was just and Chris Stack is a real drummer. So he was drumming no problem. And I was like, I am a mess. Justin Craig is going to have to play for me off stage. There's no way. So that was really difficult. But then Will Butler believed in us so much. He was 3 weeks into rehearsal, he was like, will you guys open for me at my CD release party? And the girls said no. And I said, don't you think you will regret this 20 years from now? And so we went and did it, and it was so fun. And
you're
really
like a rock
inspiring.
band now.
And it's crazy. We're like a real band. It's crazy because people say, they're always like, what's it like being in a fake band? And we're like, well, we're a fictional band, but we're a real band.
Totally.
We're playing those instruments.
And you also got to record the album.
Oh my God, so
was that
cool.
a moment at a time, going into a recording studio, a rock studio?
Yeah, I didn't think it would. I mean, there was such a disconnect. I was like, oh, we're sitting here playing, and I kept thinking the real recording will happen at some point, and then all of a sudden the album came out, and there's a story about Tom York listening to OK Computer for the first time and weeping. And I always thought, oh, so ridiculous. And I fully wept when I listened to Stereophonic the first time. I just thought it was so beautiful. And thinking about how far we had come on this journey, it's really moving. It's really special.
And talk about journeys. You've had the last few years of your life, what you've worked on.
I've had such an exciting, I cannot believe that I've had the last few years that I've had. I went from A Case for the Existence of God with Sam Hunter and David Cromer and my college roommate, Kyle Beltran, straight into playing Roy Cohn in Fellow Travelers, which was mind-blowing. And then straight into Uncle Vanya with a bunch of friends in a loft that blew up, straight into this. I've been having a very, very blessed, very crazy moment. It's really fun.
But for Vanya, you met someone in the airport.
Yeah, so actually, when I was in Tribes 12 years ago, We had auditions for replacements in the show, and Julia Chan was one of the actors who auditioned. And I said to David Cromer, I was like, "This woman she's so beautiful, she's so talented. How can you not cast her?" And he said, "She is too beautiful to be a part of this family."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No one will buy it."
Yeah.
But I really loved her, really adored her, and so we followed each other on Instagram. And then it was literally 10 years later, we ran into each other, and she said, "We should do Uncle Vanya together." And I was like, "Okay, I'll ask David Cromer about it." And David said, "Can I play Vanya?" And I said, "Heck yeah, dude, I don't know this play." I'd never seen Vanya before. And then we put it together as a lark. We put it together as a group of friends doing a thing, and it has become one of the truly most fulfilling experiences of my life.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
it's
Oklahoma
really nuts.
too.
And then Oklahoma, yeah, I've had I got to see Daniel Fish for the first time in a long time yesterday. And that was such a special experience, such a weird experience. My first sort of brush with the Tonys experience, because we got to perform on stage at Radio City Music Hall. And a bunch of the actors were nominated, and Ali Stroker won. It was really such a cool experience. Funny story. This is a lot of pressure, but I've had in the two previous plays that I've been in where I had romantic interests.
Yeah.
Both of those women have won Tonys for those performances. It was Ali Stroker and Annalee Ashford for "You Can't Take It With You." Which I did tell Juliana at some point, and she was like, "Cool, no pressure." But it's wild.
That is great.
Yeah.
I have to talk to you about CMU.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, I mean, what do you remember? What were some of your favorite memories of being there that set you on your path to the kind of career that you have today?
You know, the teachers there are a really beautiful mix of very, very supportive and also kind of brutally honest. They will. I had always heard that college was going to be, you're going to go in and they're going to rip you apart. They're going to tear your ego down. You're not going to know who you are anymore just so they can build you back up. And it was not like that at all. It was very loving. It was very caring. And also it was brutal. There was there was so much rigor required of all of the actors. And so you built this incredible camaraderie with all of the other students there. I mean, it's really a family that you come away from that place with. And I mean, Barbara Mackenzie Wood just came, who is my acting teacher all 4 years that I was there, just came to see Stereophonic, and it was so moving to have her there. She's just retired from teaching at Carnegie. But it's amazing. And I should have known better, but when I heard that a very young person was going to come in and play Diana in the show, even though it was a CMU actor, I was like, oh, it's her first play since college. What's this going to be like? And she is, transcendent. There's no actor like her. And it makes sense to me that she also studied with Barbara and that she probably got some really great support and some really great tutelage.
Yeah. So she was the takeaway teacher for you.
Oh yeah. Barbara and this other woman, Ingrid Sonicson, who just was nothing but love and light and support for me. She was always really just all about gassing me up. It was really fun. And I got to play so many roles that I don't know if I'll ever get to play again. I got to play the anarchist in Accidental Death of an Anarchist, which was a mind-bending experience. It's some of the most fun I've ever had. And then I also I did this production of Don Carlos, which I think is the least successful thing I've ever done on stage. And it was a really safe place to fail miserably around your friends.
Are there specific tools that you've taken away that only CMU offered you that you use in your craft?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the sort of vocal warm-ups that I do in order to stay fit and healthy, a lot of the movement exercises. If I feel really lost with how to approach a character, I'll think through some of the movement techniques that we learned throughout the years. There's always script analysis that you can return to that Barbara was really was really gung-ho about. There's a ton that I still return to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Talk about arts education and the importance of arts education.
Oh man, I mean, it's a shame that there is not more money in the arts, because it's such a great way to encourage young people to express themselves and to learn about each other and to learn about other cultures. Even if you don't wind up in the arts per se, like having the experience of kind of passionately driving towards something and building something collaborative is invaluable. And I think everybody can relate to needing each other.
Yeah.
And if you have the tools to express that need healthfully to each other, like, you've kind of got the world on lock, you know?
Yeah.
It's so for that reason, I think it's a really amazing thing.
And that's what CMU offered you, right?
For sure. I mean, in spades. It was just such a safe place to do anything with anyone. Yeah.
If you could sum up the best part of the experience now of being in Stereophonic, what's it for you?
Oh gosh.
It's a big question, because I'm sure there's so much.
Big question. Yeah, there's so much. I would say, gosh, if there's one thing that is like the big takeaway from Stereophonic, I think it is, this is so meta, but the heartbreak and the fulfillment that coincide with making a piece of art is ineffable, it's inexpressible, and it is the reason for the pursuit.
Yeah. Have you chosen a Tony outfit yet?
I'm working on it. I'm very excited.
Is it like between a few things?
It's between a few things. There are some like key inspirations that I'm drawing on. There's a bunch of designers' names, but yeah, it's very exciting and also very nerve-wracking. I've never really had to do this before, so.
But you'll know when you see yourself in something, you're going to be like,
so.
that's me.
I
That's
think
Will
so.
Brill, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Congratulations, my friend. We'll
Thanks
see you
so
Tony
much.
night.
Yeah, whoa!